Welcome to the DEA Chicago podcast. I'm Luis Sagastini. Really excited to have our guest here today. He is the new DEA Chicago Field Division Community Outreach Specialist, Fidel Arroyo. Fidel, welcome, or should I say welcome back?
Yes, good afternoon, Luis. Yeah, I'm very excited to be back with DEA here in Chicago with this new role as a community outreach specialist. So thank you for inviting me to speak with you today.
Oh, of course. And most people listening are not familiar with your background. So if you can, just tell us a bit about yourself, including, I say welcome back because previously you were an employee, you were part of the DEA Chicago family, and you're back with us. So if you just can tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been with the government for 25 years in different roles, different agencies, Department of Homeland Security. Then I came to DEA back in 2003, working at SSU.
What's SSU?
Special Support Unit here in the Chicago Field Division, and in different roles, working with evidence and stuff like that. Then I left DEA, went to work for the U.S. Department of Labor as an investigator, investigating fraud, and was asked to join to be a core, which is a community outreach research specialist and planning specialist, which I really loved. I was pretty nervous about that. So, and then there was an opening for an outreach specialist here in DEA Chicago, and applied and was very fortunate to get the job. So here I am.
And we're glad to have you. So community outreach, really, it's not something brand new to you. You just mentioned that it's something you did over at the Department of Labor. So from what you did over at the Department of Labor and past couple of months that you've been here with the EA, what are some of maybe the similarities and differences that you've seen as far as obviously very, very different missions, but when it comes to reaching your core audiences and engaging and building partnerships, maybe some similarities and differences that you've seen so far?
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities with my role with the U.S. Department of Labor and now with DEA, engaging with the public, working with many community organizations out there who are working with the public that they serve, and working with local, state, and federal agency as well. Obviously, different enforcement and different topics of on the things that we do here at DEA from U.S. Department of Labor, but there's a lot of things that is very, very similar.
And what do you enjoy, what attracted you to community outreach, and it's more specifically this position here in Chicago with the DEA?
Connecting with people. I've always been a people person, and those who know me know that I love to talk to people. I love to be a resource to the communities, all the communities that we serve. I like to connect them with services, promoting health and wellness, and improving the well-being of the individuals in every community, as well as to foster community engagement between the services and the people who need it.
You mentioned health and wellness and just prevention, all those vitally important right now. We're in the middle of a major, major fentanyl overdose, death, and poisoning crisis, both nationally as well as here in Chicago. What role does community outreach play when it comes to making a difference and helping drive down those numbers, helping keep people alive, whether it's sharing of information or providing, connecting people, like you said, connecting people with resources or, establishing a presence or whatever. Just how important we have our agents, right? We have our folks on the front lines. We have our special agents. We have our intelligence analysts, our diversion investigators, and everyone really on the front line. But also folks like you on the support staff, on the supporting side. How do you think that impacts and makes a difference in everything that we're doing as DEA when it comes to community outreach?
Well, it's a full-time job, and I can fully dedicate my time on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, to research, connecting with the different organizations out there, services, schools. When I say schools, I'm talking about educating elementary schools, high schools, colleges, universities, and the students, letting them know, educating them about awareness and prevention, drug prevention, and letting them know the dangers out there. What we have now with fentanyl is killing people every single day, and not just with students, but also the staff within these schools, and also working with the schools and the different communities out there to have events in the evening, preferably, because to talk to the parents, because a lot of parents don't know, because they're so busy at work. They don't know how to notice whether or not their kids are consuming these drugs, and how can they detect. And so one of the things that we do here at DEA is to educate the parents and the general public about how our kids getting these drugs that they might not know, social media, their phone, and the codes that they send to their friends, the emojis, and what are those emojis, that what do they mean. So when they pick up a phone, they'll know what they're doing. But that all is from research. It's all from connecting with all these different organizations, because that's how we learn as well, because we focus on it full time, and we can always give that information at our presentations at schools and local community organizations that adults attend. And that's why it's so vital that we have a person, hopefully in every city, and we do a major city field division, and we also work with the other district offices within the division to help those assistant special agent in charge, who are in charge of those areas and those regions, to help promote what we do and raise awareness and prevention about the drug and fentanyl that we have now problem.
So, folks who don't know, the DEA Chicago Field Division covers northern and central Illinois, all of Wisconsin, from the border all the way down to both borders of Wisconsin, as well as the entire state of Indiana as well. Fidel, I know you recently spent just about a week in Wisconsin speaking to a variety of audiences. So, speaking, you talked about the presentations that you deliver. Tell us a bit about what that week was like and your interactions with, the folks that you spoke with there.
So yeah, I went along with another coworker here, and we went there because an invitation from a community organization that deals with prevention, and they said, "Can you come and speak at some high schools?" And so we went to 3 high schools in northern Wisconsin, northwestern Wisconsin. It's called Menominee, Wisconsin. Around that region, we went to speak with auditorium of kids for each high school. One was Colfax High School, the other one was Menominee High School, and the other was another high school near Menominee High School. We were talking to over 2,000 students, including staff, teachers. And the sad part about it is the reality about it too. After those presentations, those kids will come up to us and tell us about their stories. We had a kid who told us about how they lost a parent to fentanyl. And they were crying and letting us know that they felt like their parent chose the drug over them. And we try to assure them that, no, that's your parent, I'm sure, loved you. It's just an addiction that the person had. We don't know the full story, but just know that your parent did love you. And, you know, um, show compassion to these students. It was the stories that we heard, and they lined up. They really did line up, and they all wanted to tell us that they appreciate us coming down. They never had anybody in government, presenting about what's really going on in in their community. So yeah, so shout out to Menominee High School and Colfax High School and all the high schools that we went to. And we also had an event to talk to some of the parents in the evening about the dangers of fentanyl and all the drugs that are out there. So
You mentioned those high schools. We went out there upon a request. We were invited. We also conduct our own proactive outreach. So we will reach out to schools and organizations and community groups, whoever will listen to us. What's that reception been like with reaching out to um, high schools, or either reaching out directly or working through our partner, like partner law enforcement here in Chicago, that really has those relationships? What's the reception been like when DEA is offering our support to educate the community?
so thankfully right now we're working together in collaboration with the Chicago Police Department here in the city of Chicago, with the CAPS team, the headquarters team, who are community engagement specialists, to so they can connect us with the schools. And right now we have a couple events coming up with some of the elementary schools and possibly high schools. The actually the assistant principal or the vice principal have requested that we go to their schools because it seems to that they understand the dangers of the drugs that are affecting their neighborhoods, and they have seen the children that they have in their schools have been affected by it, because they see it on the streets when they're going home, or it's happening at home.
Yeah.
And they wanted us to go and do a presentation and maybe talk to the students after the presentation, to to listen to their stories and see how we can maybe talk to those kids and show some compassion, like I mentioned before.
Uh, what's your vision for community outreach when it comes to drug education, awareness, and prevention? No, we touched on several aspects of it, but from a strategic standpoint, we're building, individual relationships with high schools and communities, but looking more broadly, looking for the rest of this year and, ensuing years. What's your vision for how the DEA Chicago Field Division is positioned throughout an entire, area of operations when it comes to being a resource for drug awareness, prevention, community engagement?
So that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to join the DEA in the outreach part of it. I wanted to be part of bridging the gap. And so I think we should be at all the schools, um, and also working with local community organizations who deal with the communities that they serve, and speak to those adults as well, because it's affecting everybody. And so um, I want to make sure that I act like a bridge on behalf of DEA, and so we can bridge between these organizations and the people, so that the people know and have the information and access to the resources and support that they need to battle what we see every day with this fentanyl crisis. Um, and just letting them know that it's not just cocaine the, or heroin or meth, folks who've used that, but also other drugs, because fentanyl can be laced in anything now. So the drug dealers are no longer are just sorting these drugs out. So it's affecting every single drug, and it all takes it's a little bit over 2
Milligrams,
milligrams
yeah.
to be enough for a lethal dose. And people don't understand that. They think, oh, it's not happening here, it's happening elsewhere. Oh, if I take these pills, it's no, they're attacking and lacing this drug in everything. So
And often, you know, the people that are dying or, from fentanyl poisoning or overdose deaths, they don't know that they're taking an illicit deadly drug. They think if they're getting a pill from social media, from a friend, that they think they might be taking a Xanax or an Oxy or any other kind of painkiller or an Adderall. But if you're not getting that pill, that if your doctor did not prescribe that to you or you got it from your pharmacy, you have to assume that right now that the likelihood of that containing a lethal amount of fentanyl is very high.
and that's one of the things that we need to do as an agency is to educate the public, letting them know that if you didn't get these specific pills from a doctor, prescribed by a doctor, and from a pharmacy, you shouldn't be taking those pills, because nobody knows where these pills that you're buying online on your phone are coming from, or what's in it.
I had the chance, I think that was your first presentation when we brought the forensic chemists from our lab here. We went to DePaul College Prep in Chicago's North Side, and you did something very unique, just a mini demonstration experiment. I want to talk about that. Um, yeah, I'll let you tell your story about what you did when, the 50/50.
So yes, I shout out to the North Central Laboratory here, our chemists who we're working with to bring awareness about the effects of these dangerous drugs to the schools. And they came with me for this presentation at a local high school. I thought it would be neat to have these chemists to teach the science class, and they brought their whole suit of what they wear when they're on the field. And I asked the one of the chemists that when they got to a certain slide about the dangers of fentanyl, I asked him if I can have the floor. So I went to, I asked the students for their attention. I said, "All right, I'm gonna go around. I have this coin, and this coin that I have was a special coin that I have. It's a personalized Enrique Kiki Camarena Special Agent Enrique Kiki Camarena's coin, celebrating 40 years of Red Ribbon Week." And I said that I'm gonna go to each student and I'm gonna flip the coin, but they're gonna call out heads or tails once I flip it in the air. And whatever it is that they chose, if they were not lucky to get whatever they picked, then I asked them to stand. And if they got the right one, if the coin flipped to their luck, then I told them to have a seat. But the majority, I would say more than 50%, had to stand up. And I said that those who are standing, that this little experiment, fentanyl, 5 out of 10 pills that contained or was laced with fentanyl had enough of those that will kill you. 5 out of 10 pills.
You should have seen their faces.
They're like, what?
Yeah.
So I said, so you guys are standing, you more likely have overdose from taking those pills. And they were so like surprised, like, so you're pretty much, when you're taking these pills that is not prescribed to you by a doctor or a pharmacist, then more you're playing with your life.
And this comes from real data from DEA forensic analysis. I believe it was last year where 5 out of every 10 fentanyl pills that were seized and sent to a DEA lab for analysis, like you just said, contained enough fentanyl to be considered a potentially deadly dose. That's actually an improvement from previous years. I believe at one point, it might have been 2023, I believe, where it was as high as 7 and 10.
7 and 10.
Either 22 or 23, but yeah, it was as high as 7 and 10 pills. So it was almost worse than a flip of the coin.
Oh yeah, and that's all because of an enforcement that we've done as an agency, but also the educational part. You know, letting the public know the dangers of the drugs that they're taking. That fentanyl can be laced in anything, any drug you can think of, and so that's the reason why the number has dropped from 7 to 10. I mean, we still have a lot of work. We want to make that as to 0, but we need the public's help in that.
You know, I want to give a shout out to a lot of our other agencies that are involved in spreading awareness. It is not just the DEA. Everybody from local, state, even other federal law enforcement agencies, the public health department, community organizations, advocacy organizations, all involved in spreading, awareness and helping keep people alive. But the DEA really, we're in a very, very unique position that a lot of these organizations don't have, where we are on all the resources that we have. We have folks on the front line on the enforcement end. We have a brilliant team of chemists that are analyzing and, giving us more information about what's emerging and what we're seeing. Our intel, top notch.
Diversion,
especially diversion, making sure that, the physicians and the pharmacies and, doctors, anybody that has that authority to prescribe, that they're abiding by the guidelines and they're doing so ethically. But we're just in a very unique position as far as community outreach goes.
And we have the full support from our SAC, our special agent in charge, Sheila Lyons, and our deputy SAC, Shane Catone, and all the ASACs out there that we have in Chicago. They believe strongly in outreach, community outreach, and I want to thank them for that support. And working with Luis too. Luis helps me, and I help him with this outreach. And I couldn't do it without Luis and everybody who are involved, the special agents, the diversion investigators, the field intelligence analysts, the forensic chemists. So, and even the support group we have here, admin, everybody is very much involved, and we have their support for raising awareness on the horrible stories that we hear and that we see about the dangers of these drugs that are out there.
Last question, we'll close on this. So if you could pick, let's say, 3 to 5 community partners here in Chicago. I mean, think about we're a world-class sports city, food city, just a world-class city. If you had a wish list of community partners or even types of events where we would be at, and you had resources at your disposal, what would they be?
Oh, wow. You put me a very tough...
Without playing favorites, but
right,
if there was a wish list, of who you could partner with.
I think I have so many of them. I'm gonna be biased because I'm a big Cub fan, but obviously the Sox too. Chicago Sky,
yeah,
Blackhawks, and also these big events that we have, like the Taste of Chicago,
right?
Lollapalooza, especially.
A few years ago, we did devote some messaging around Lollapalooza, given the amount of young people, thousands upon. I mean, actually, I'm not even sure if we hit even 1 million people during that whole weekend or more. But it's just Chicago's Grant Park is just completely overtaken from people around the world. Most of them in that young demographic, rock bands and all kinds of musical acts performing, and just want to ensure that we spread the message around being careful about what you take or what you take from somebody else, because again, like we said, the likelihood of taking a pill that wasn't given to you by a doctor, if you're at that type of event, we just warned a lot of folks, because there have been overdose deaths and poisonings in the past, in previous years. So but you're spot on with Lollapalooza, a prime opportunity for us to engage and share messaging.
I wanted to say before we close too, Luis, if you give me the
Yeah, of
opportunity,
course.
I want the everybody who's listening to this podcast that I'm not just a resource to the division, to the DEA, the Chicago Field Division, but I'm a resource to all the communities that we serve. Like Luis mentioned, Chicago Field Division, we serve the state of Wisconsin, the city of Chicago, and the majority of the state of Illinois and the state of Indiana. And give me a call. My number is online next to my name. I don't know.
On DEA.gov.
On,
The Chicago, if you go to DEA.gov and navigate to the Chicago Division page, you'll see our contact info there.
Absolutely. And if you live outside of those states, you can still give me a call. Every division has a community outreach specialist like myself, and I would forward that information over to them. And every community outreach specialist around the country does the same work that I do, and they're very passionate about presenting and educating the public about the drug problems that are out there. And so, yeah, don't be afraid. We're here for you as a resource to educate your community. So thank you very much.
Yeah, awesome, great job. Thank you so much for sharing your background and your mission. I'm glad to have you as a partner, and let's keep at it.
Thank you. Take care, Luis.